live, virtually, and everywhere. All right. Joseph Carter here, Magic and Wisdom of Essential Oils. Welcome. Right. Um, Me, quickly, I teach acuaromatherapy. Acupoints plus essential oils equals transformative healing. I got that line from a good friend of mine. Okay. That's Angela Sidlo. She's my co-host with this podcast conversation. And well, we got a special guest today, and I'm going to let Angela do the honors on that one. Oh, your dog, great.
Yes, Sophie is here today too. She loves acuaromatherapy too. But today, it was like the night before Christmas last night because I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, tomorrow morning we get to open this big present for everybody. And that is an aromatherapy colleague of mine and a delightfully sweet individual that I have had the pleasure of meeting through NAHA, our National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy. And I just want to share with you this morning, Gabriel Mojay.
Mhm.
Welcome, Gabriel. I am so excited to spend some time here with you and share all of this aromatic goodness, the magic and wisdom of essential oils. Welcome.
Angela, thank you so much. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I will try and live up to, that to such a sublime description. But also, Joseph, thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I've been very excited as well. I'm surprised I got any sleep at all last night. So thank you. Very
Good.
excited.
Well, I have to say, as I was a budding aromatherapist many years ago, and sort of starting my journey in holistic healing, I had come across this book, Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. And I was first introduced to acupressure points. And I thought, this is really interesting. We're talking about acupressure points and essential oils. I wonder what this is about. And then later on, I took classes from Peter Holmes and Tiffany Carroll, and it kind of all started coming together. And then I met up with my dear friend Joseph, and the rest is history. Because I was hooked from that point. But you were my gateway drug into all of this, Gabrielle.
That's good to
Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I like. I know. I know it was a natural high, so that's cool.
Blame it on neroli or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, woo. I uh, I'm just gonna go on to this one. Um, I've had a very calm yesterday and a pretty calm this morning, and then as I was driving to the studio, I was just like getting more and more and more excited, like kid in a candy store kind of thing. All right, and just honored, but also like feeling the growing friendship and the growing community. Angela, the acuaromatherapy enthusiasts, and all of the above. Um, so we're going to talk about Heart Seven. We're going to talk about sandalwood. We're going to talk about spirit and aromatherapy. Oh, I think we have about 8 hours worth of conversation there, but we're going to try and narrow it down a little bit. And one way I do that is I take some sandalwood essential oil. And if you happen to have some around, this might not be a bad time to take a bit and put it on the palm of your hand.
Somewhere like PC8.
Oh, yeah, in the heart of the thing, in the heart of the palm. And what I'm going to do is what I've been teaching lately when I'm teaching people qigong is listen, I'm going to teach you 3 minutes of qigong or less. Okay, if you then do that, you'll learn qigong, and we can go from there. And they're like, huh. Anyway, I'm going to do it with you right now. Got it in my hands, warmed it up. My hands are going to make a cup over my nose and mouth, not my eyes. And then inhale. Inhale some more. And then exhale. Again. Inhale. Inhale on top of that. And exhale. Yeah.
Did we just stimulate a vagus nerve?
We're getting there because they say the third time is a charm. They mean it. Inhale and again. Yeah. I think vagus nerve, to use an anatomical term, yeah. And just
Yeah.
ask everybody, but the integrative feeling that is there now. The connection of heart and mind, but just the body's like, it's a good day. So
Everybody shen a little more calm.
yeah, how was that for you?
Yeah. Anybody in a bliss bubble?
I felt a bit like a lotus, when
Yes,
it's like,
yes. Came up and did this. Mm.
Well, is there anyone out there that's presently muted that wants to unmute and share a little bit of your sandalwood experience?
Yeah.
I could pick somebody. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, no. So sandalwood to me is very grounding. So I have it basically all over the house. This one's a rollerball, but yeah, for me, it's very grounding. It just brings me back to center very much, sandalwood.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Grounding experience for me as well. And in a gentle way. And I really like the things because it made me think what Angela shared with us in another class about the hands coming together and heart 7 communicating with heart 7. And I think that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Thank you, Anne. And Caroline.
Yeah.
A Rose by any other name?
My sweet friend Rose.
I actually used geranium rose, and it just brought me down into my space and into myself. So it was wonderful because I'm working on self-compassion as Angela is teaching us. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that fragrance energetics of that geranium rose being that circulating, harmonizing. It's so beautiful.
And think of the two of them together, a blend of the sandalwood and that. I'm salivating right now. Sandra, anything you'd like to add?
It's same for me. Sandalwood is one of my favorites that I use quite often. I find it very grounding and calming. I like it specifically in the evenings, like before going to bed. It's just, yeah,
settling in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one on kidney 1 at bedtime, just kind of bringing you down and grounding you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and as we are the magic and wisdom of essential oils, Angela, Gabriel, a favorite bit of the magic or wisdom of sandalwood?
Gabriel, I will let you go on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could, well, I don't know how much you'd like me to say exactly, but the thing is that I did do a paper a couple of years ago. Well, I was commissioned to do it by it was a company, or it is a company in Western Australia,
right?
And well, the company's based in Perth, and Guy Vincent, I remember his name now. Wow, he wrote to me because I knew him before because he used to run Aromatherapy Associates in London, and then he got a job at Aveda, went to Minnesota, and then he got this job. And this company was co-owned by Estee Lauder, an Aboriginal community called the Martu in Western Australia. And that's one of the sustainable ones. I've also read Joseph's information in his excellent slide on the sandalwood oil, also about the Santalum album that's growing also in the northwest of Australia too. There's stands there that are sustainable anyway. So, and I had the help of a colleague, Dr. Kelly Ablard, who runs the Airmid Institute. And it was California non-profit. There's a lot going on here, and I think, you know, your work, I think, is part of it. But anyway, so I had a great opportunity, and I was amazed looking at all the research. Over 100 papers I downloaded, and 21, for example, all about how good it is, sandalwood oil is if you apply it to your skin to prevent, more prevention of carcinogenesis of the skin cells through different means, but especially one I'm very interested in. I've got slides on it, and it's called it's many compounds in oils do this, but I think it's an amazing action, and it's when they promote something called apoptosis, and what that is, it's the natural cell. It's very Taoist, It's like natural cell cycle of growth and death, actually, but it happens. You wouldn't believe it, like billions of times a day in your body, your cells go through that process. And of course, when that dysfunctions, that's what you get. That's when and the cells can't die. That's what proliferation is, and that leads to carcinogenesis. And that's obvious. That's so much more common in all the countries in the West, especially where we have too many processed foods and not enough of those phytonutrients, including the aromatic compounds in our essential oils, and the miracle ones like alpha and beta santalol exert this beautifully protective action that allows us to live so much longer than other mammals.
Yeah.
So but part of I love the symbolism, and I've got, like, maybe if at one point I could just share a poem, a sonnet I wrote about some of the original meanings, because it just kind of shines through what I just love hearing everybody's direct experience, though, and also the way everybody says it's grounding and brings me here. I'm like, yeah. And this moment of gathering, I think, as well, even though we can't be together, in the three dimensions, I still think this is a really nice, and a wonderful study as well. And I want to just pay tribute to your dedication to this synthesis. And I can see you really working with it in a really, I think, potent and inspiring way, really, So good on you,
Thank you for that.
Totally.
We really feel like to come into our sessions, we need to have a collective embodied experience so that we can all be in the same frequency, really, together when we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So
I can actually feel it. I can actually feel, maybe it's enhanced where I am as well, but I felt it as soon as we gathered together, that serenity, like that sandalwood feeling, actually, really. Anyway.
Well, it's that heartwood.
Yeah.
Joseph, that's that heartwood, and we're sharing part of our hearts today in this message.
That's, from the ecological point of view, one of my favorite things with the sandalwood. Let me do this. There was a reason to my reaching in front of the screen. I'm going to do this.
Oh, wow.
This is a slice through a sandalwood log. Okay. This is from Quintus, South Australia. Ecologically and sustainably grown and increasing the biodiversity where they are. And you see the dark stuff, really dark stuff there.
Yeah.
That's where a bug got in and started chomping into the wood. And so from the heartwood and the roots, it's produced an oil that goes up to heal that wound. All right. It's sap has sugar, resin has oils. Okay. And those oils create a bandage of sorts, and it's a bioactive bandage. And it's hard for me because it's so highly evolved in what it does that English doesn't really have the words for it. Okay. But it is healing from the inside out. And it's creating an aromatically magical, that's the only word I have for it right now, substance that influences its environment, santalone alpha and beta, yeah, And it does amazing things.
So
The
you're saying it's aromagical?
Aromagical, that's it. Aromagical, that's it. I think we've just coined a term, okay? Aromagical.
Aromagical.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
That's what you get for me. That's what I get when, I started studying oils and I'm kind of a bookish lad, okay? And so I'm reading research papers and I'm getting and seeing what people said about stuff, and I've got different resources. And I said I was a bookish person. I'm not going to show you all the books right now, okay? But I found that when I could take in the oil, in the plant substance, okay, and then learn from the inside and the outside about how the plant is expressing what it's doing. I mean, sandalwood did not evolve for me. The plants probably came before we did to make sure the oxygen and nitrogen balance in the atmosphere would work for us, okay? And certainly we've had an interaction with it through the centuries of cultivating it actually in sandalwood, more just cutting it down, okay? And it's actually what we're doing in this day and age with plantations, with the regeneration of Hawaiian sandalwood, with the regeneration of the Australian sandalwood, with the transplanting of Indian sandalwood out of where it's endangered and threatened and into North Australia, where something like 80% of the world sandalwood oil supply and above comes out of that area now, okay? And because of that, the price for sandalwood on the poached market in India and Sri Lanka has gone down.
Yep.
Okay. And India and Sri Lanka are looking to, in Australia and other places, could we do this plantation model? Because historically, there was so much sandalwood in the forest, you just cut it down. Okay. And that a group of scientists studied the ground, okay, the relationships between the ground and the different trees. This is one of those ones that always gets people. Sandalwood is hemiparasitic, okay? It has to basically take some of its nitrogen from other plants. It really likes acacias, all right? So it's got to grow with other trees around, right? And hemiparasitic people usually go, alien, like, ooh, that's a bad word, parasite, all right? And actually sandalwood gives the acacia something. This oil that it creates repels ants. Okay. Now, ants are a major pollinator of the acacias. So sandalwood says, go away, ants, go over to the acacia, help it do its thing, and I'll get some of it later. Okay. So I'm anthropomorphizing there an entire ecology, but sandalwood is literally on the growing edge of sustainability for the planet. Did you get that one? The growing edge, right? I like to think our work is that, using plant medicine, using essential oils on acupoints, and then sharing that, in circles like you've got going, Angela, and in conversations like this. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Oh, yeah. Did you want to say something about that, Gabriel?
Oh, well, I mean, no, what Joseph has put very poetically, and well, also, no, it's very interesting. So I knew a bit, but to have more information, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's 18 different.
Well, would you like to see your poem and whatever else?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I was just I was actually I was trying to make sure I could find it, but I wanted to say while I look quickly, but out of the different, out of the, there's 18 species in all. And, there's one that's completely extinct that only grew on one island actually, which was I think off the coast of
South America.
Yeah, that's it, the Fernandez. But I mean, I'm just wondering, Joseph, is how far it sounds as if, as you've put it, the transplantation, as it were, of the album, largely speaking, from India to Australia, and like I think it's great how you explained about the hemiparasitic relationship with the acacia. I'm just wondering, in India, did the government have any control really over what's happening there, or is it just, what
Yeah,
would you say about that?
very briefly, because it's a governmental regulation of forests anywhere on the planet is a long and confusing sort of road. Okay.
Right.
The Japanese people had to claw back their forests, and now they give us, forest bathing. All right.
Yeah.
I'm in Northern California, the redwoods and people living in the tops of trees to make sure they're not cut down. Um,
Yeah.
Many people look at forests by the board feet of lumber
Yeah.
rather than life that it enhances, supports. So don't get me started. And you did a little bit. In India, the government has sometimes been part of the solution and sometimes been a major problem. Um, and the local governments looking away while people are poaching is part of that.
Oh, oh,
Um,
right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not pointing fingers at any particular individual. I don't know
Yeah.
them, but
Yeah.
in looking at it historically, um,
Yeah.
the over extraction, because you just cut it down because there's so many of them, leads to the point where so many people are cutting it down because they can make money off of it, that no one's thinking about the sustainability of it. It's the taking of the commons for private good.
Yeah.
But I won't go into an entire lecture.
No, but thank you. Thank you so much. I found what I need to now, but I'm glad I asked you that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
this in a conversation you and I had the other day, and I'm hoping
yeah.
this speaks to the poem again. Um,
Yeah.
what was the Aboriginal tribe in West Australia you had
Well,
mentioned?
there's actually, I've just shared my screen. I don't know if you can see that,
Oh,
by the way. Is that
perfect.
okay? Great. Well, I know there's two actually. One, and Dr. Ablard and I spoke to of the Martu, and he was a guard. He was the Martu of that community.
Okay.
But there was actually another community. What were they called? But there's several, in that region. But there's two main ones who were the guardian of the sandalwood trees in that part of more, of course, in the southwest part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is just what this is. This, for example, is one presentation I gave on, sandalwood, well, really really just right through from the biology, energetics, phenomenology, science, research, and with some blends as well, even. But my conclusion, and I read the poem at the end, so I'll come to that, but it was just to emphasize that action I referred to briefly earlier, that's all part, of course, of it protecting our DNA. That's how profoundly deep its action is. And this is just a kind of summary which, it shows that how it protects the body, especially from this oxidation. If we have some every day, apply it somehow to our skin, through whatever means appeals to us most, then it can help to protect the body from oxidative stress leading to dysfunction and and potentially to mutagenesis. And it exerts this faculty actually through modulating through the DNA, the very immunogenetic interface responsible for, as I said, the very blueprint of our biological integrity. Anyway, so that's a really important, thing that I was putting across, and it comes through many different studies. But to get on, yeah, so it was really in a nutshell, as it were, because there's also the nut oil as well, and it has this xymenic acid as well, which is an incredibly, again, anti-cancer and very beautifully nourishing to the skin nut oil. So they sell that too. It's quite low. It's not very aromatic, as you can imagine, because sandalwood's already quite gentle, but it's really lovely and really nice. So that we're showing they're capable, I was saying, of these important evidence-based biological functions, and what we would describe as they're really looking now for these natural substances, which they call chemo preventive, a lot of, in the world of research. And it's natural substances which we know about and use naturally, being keen as we are on plants and essential oils and plant medicine extracts. But, you know, they're finding compounds, you know, as well as in, you know, things like rosmarinic acid, which is in rosemary, but not necessarily in the essential oil, but it is in the CO2 extracts, by the way, I've just been told. So these antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activities together, that's what helps to make them very potent natural protectors of what we call in TCM, you know, the essence of the Jing, parallel to that, the source of life itself. Okay, so here's my poem going right back to its origins and some of the distilling meanings from it. The Rajan in Gantu, a lexicon of healing plants from rose to cardamom, in sage times mentioned precious sandalwood as being through many names understood. Its most ancient name, Chandana, relates to Cantu, meaning rub into a paste. The term Chandana is also defined as the most superlative of its kind. White sandal paste was applied to the brow to cool the mind and devotion avow, to draw down Shiva and awaken Shakti, to enrich one's bliss and deepen bhakti. The scented wood's Pure Land perfection fueled its rise as one of the 7 jewels of the emperor, a true sattvic tree imparting the power of divinity. Its purity made it a piece of fortune, Shrikanda, a sweet curd saffron portion, a cold-like paste with a creamy perfume known by the devas, that's these celestial beings, I add some notes at the end, as the scent of the moon. Its sweet, cool aroma was regarded by the serpents that entwined and guarded sacred sandal trees on Mount Malaya as Priya, as enticing as a raga. Chandana was thus praised in Ayurvedic verse for cooling passions that all minds can curse, for dispersing the fire that sears and clouds, inflames the limbs and lucidity shrouds. Distilled from the heartwood, the tree's essence, Gandha Sarna, scented gem presence. A Gandha Sarna is literally a kind of fragrant gem, it would mean. Clears and stills the mind, fragrances the breath, guards against, surrenders to, blesses death. Oh, that's it. Guards against, that's its anti-cancer action. Surrenders to, that means it promotes that apoptosis, but it is about surrender to the supreme. Blesses death, it's a very important funeral herb, carries the soul to the next realm. So I can always give you this in writing, but there's the notes. Rajangantauti was compiled by Narahari. It's a 14th century Ayurvedic lexicon, which is Nijantu, concerning 698 drugs of plant, animal, and mineral origin. The Pure Land is the celestial realm of Buddha, or Bodhisattva in Buddhism, offering respite from karmic transmigration, adorned with flowers, fruits, and wish-granting trees. Sattvic, possessing the nature of sattva, one of the 3 gunas, as you know, in Hindu philosophy, with the representing quality of balance, harmony, serenity, purity, goodness. I mentioned these devas were these celestial beings in both Hinduism and Buddhism. Priya, I know someone called Priya, means dear or beloved. A raga, of course, that would be one of the things, the only other thing that could entice the serpents that entwined the sacred trees on Mount Malaya, the sandalwood trees. that they would be enticed by the raga as a traditional melodic pattern or mode in classical Indian music. And as I said, lastly, a Ganda Sarana is from Ganda, meaning perfume, and Sarana is a jewel, and sandalwood is like, as we know. And I think, we saw that in a way because the wood that Joseph was holding up was like a giant fragrant jewel,
Very much. Yeah, that was
I think
beautiful.
you're pretty much a fragrant gem yourself.
Well, I am if I put some on, and I've got plenty. Luckily, I've got plenty to play with. So I wish I could pass it around. You could all. That's why, be careful, because I used to do that in London. I was so generous. Here's the Rose Otto. I'd pass it around. I could see people going like this. By the time it gets back, it's about halfway.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's spreading the love, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess wow is the first word. One of the things I most love in teaching and helping people learn these things and share these things is the realization that it's a healing art, that there is science to it, and the science is integrated through the art, through the humanity, through the magic of wisdom, hopefully. Okay. I loved also the sandalwood made this oil for its own protection and its own regeneration, its own immune system. Okay. It's helping things die at the level of where it's going to leave a scar, but in that scar is going to be this oil. Okay. Apoptosis, planned cell death. That's a shorthand for it. And I love how you put that earlier, Gabriel. It's very Taoist. It's like you every day you're being born, every day you're dying. That was a little bit of Dylan there, actually. Yeah, and what was it? There was an article, two articles a couple of years back by Tisserand, okay? And the term was or is being framed psychoneurodermatology, okay? And so it's being used, sandalwood is being used in preparations for people who have rosacea, people that have acne, and people that have long-term scarring and healing the scarring of the skin. So, and they find that it changes the mood and mindset of the people that are going through the therapy. Now, I'm sure the skin looking better is also, it's where there has been a vicious cycle, there's a virtuous cycle. Okay, they feed each other, they grow. Right. I mean, I can admit that I'm a plant medicine nerd. Okay, I just have to say that. Okay, just and this is one of those plant medicines that just opens to more healing. I'm kind of glad I can't explain why, because I don't think it's an intellectual explanation. I think it's an evolutionary part of Gaia. It's part of where we are from. If all of life is this cloth of the Tao, okay, sandalwood's in there, it's woven in there, we're woven in there.
Well, and I think some of these oils that have been used traditionally in all cycles of life for thousands of years. It's like the history of the Chinese medicine. It's like they know it works because they know it and they know it and they know it on this deep, deep level. And there's research that says, oh yeah, this is this because of this. But they've known it because they used it as a people's.
Yeah.
I'm going to move it this way. So when talking about trees like frankincense and sandalwood, I've used the term sacred trees because they are used in homegrown traditions all the way back to First Peoples, if we can find First Peoples still, okay? How they use them, how they integrate with them in their life is really, really valuable information. This is sort of the wisdom, the magic and wisdom, okay? When talking about frankincense, I'll use that one. Frankincense, wherever it's grown, and there's African frankincenses, and Middle Eastern frankincenses, and there's frankincenses into India and Pakistan, and there's a long bioregion that has frankincenses. In almost all traditions, the oil or the resin is sometimes often burned historically, but it is used for sacred studies of what are the good books of the culture, or studies that are also like Avicenna, that the intellectual beauty of the culture. So I call frankincense the teacher of teachers. Okay, what shall we call sandalwood? I'm not going to go the preacher of preachers. Okay, I'm not going to go that one. All right.
Oh no, what about the seeker of seekers?
Ooh.
Kind of like that.
Or
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's let that play. It'll come out over time, if not instantaneously.
So
Gabriel, you're
Joseph,
leading in. Going.
can we take this magic and wisdom and bring it into our modern day world for some help with acuaromatherapy?
You know what? Something is at hand. I'll do a screen.
Ah,
Okay. Gabe, I think you let go, so I think I can.
I'm sorry.
so
Oh,
you dropped the screen share.
oh yeah,
This
definitely.
is
Yeah,
desktop. I have to apologize. Let me do this. There is. Whoop. No, that's not good enough. There we go. Briefly, one of my favorite points on the planet, okay? One of my favorite oils on the planet. So, wow, this is a good day, all right? Heart 7, Spirit Gate, Shenman.
Which is card number 5 if you have your deck.
Yes, okay? If I'm the little finger and I go below the base of the little finger, outside of that part of the wrist, there's a rubber bandy thing going up into the wrist, okay? Ligament there, it's rubber bandy. Just roll on the inside of it and then press up towards the bone, and you got it, okay? So there's a rubber bandy structure. Go on the feel, roll into the middle of the wrist side, press up to the bones of the hand, and you're in this little cave. You're in a little shui, you're in a point, and this point is a gateway to the spirit. I mean, ooh.
So, Joseph, if I may say, I love this point. You've shown me this point before. Last time we worked neroli in this point.
Neroli? Yeah.
Right? And so so my neroli and my sandalwood are sitting here. And neroli I use in the morning. By the way, thank you, Angela, because you brought that last time. And I use that every morning, right? And then I do the sandalwood after I get off work.
Beautiful.
So, right on this point, though. And then the Buddha's hand.
And when I'm doing a placement, if I'm not doing point to point like this, I'm doing a thumb on one of them and an index finger on the other. So it's more ergonomic for me to do that. So play around with what feels best with thumb, finger, whatever.
Can I give you a fun placement? Or I'll give you a little lore with the placement. How's that?
Okay.
Hong Ha was a Chinese man who practiced herbology in Vietnam and then in the United States for a total career of like 70 years. Okay. Pretty much there. Okay. And he loved to sing a little Chinese opera after he was making formulas, there's a musicality to him, is what I'm getting at here. And one of the tricks he used for opening his voice so he could sing, so he could speak well, okay, was Heart 7, okay? And he did it in a format that is common in Chinese opera. I'll see if I can do it, where the two hands are put together like this. Someone comes into the stage like this, okay, which means they're coming on stage, they're opening their voice, and then they will take over with their aria or the next versions of it. So there's a very operatic bringing the heart into the voice. Okay. heart 7, there's a tendon, you don't want a needle too deep. You don't want to deal. I mean, Gabriel, I know you got this one. It's like looking at it mechanically, there's a bone, I'm going to go there, and I don't want to go there. But looking at it energetically in that use, um, I saw him sing one time at the end of a lecture that he gave, and it just hit. That's heart 7. Okay, that's what he's doing, and I confirmed it with him later, and that, yeah, heart balancing, calming, source point. Okay, oh man, I'm gonna bring this off for a bit and just play with Spirit Gate, and then I'll mention a little bit about source points. But how you doing out there? How's your Spirit Gate?
I really like this posture, Joseph. And I love singing, so I will remember that.
It's an art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Energetically, when I hold it like this, my body wants to do this.
Yeah.
The energy in my body is wanting to do this with the sandalwood. It's almost like a lullaby or a rocking. It's sweet. It's very sweet.
Gentle breeze going through the trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just notice how it's shifting your body, mind, and spirit when you're using this.
Yeah.
And I love that it's a source point.
Brother Gabriel, anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm really enjoying it, and I get the musicality. In fact, when you were talking about finding the name for sandalwood, I thought of saying something silly like, that could be the name of our band.
Oh, he froze, and I'm just sitting here on the edge of my chair.
As well, could share it with the name of our band, because I know you're a drummer, aren't you? Because it's about the rhythm of life as well, isn't it? It's like it puts you back. I mean, that's what the heart, right? That the rhythm of life. It's like I think that's why we're feeling that. Well, Angela was feeling that lullaby. I feel that too. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, from heartwood to heart.
Yeah.
Your screen froze up when you were saying your phrase. So could you repeat it?
Oh, when I was just saying about the rhythm of life, like when you connect with heart 7, the heart is that rhythm of life, isn't it? And I was thinking of you playing drums as well, Yeah.
Yeah, and in your poem, there's a musical, the ragas. There's a musical alliteration or connection there, not alliteration.
Yeah. And I think also, again, well, Peter Holmes, when he introduced the whole fragrance energy or framed it so well, I think he did put it in a very musical language, in terms of note and tone. The note being more like duration, and then the tone being more like the pitch. And then the only other thing is like the rhythm,
Yeah, the movement, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very musical.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I think that's but it's nice though. They say silence is golden as well. So it's funny because it's almost like, when the Davis said that sandalwood had the scent of the moon, it's that beautiful clarity, it's that because it's that sattvic purity feeling, that lunar light of, of receptivity as well, of receiving the light of the sun and like in its fullness and everything. And I think with its neutrality, it's used as, as a kind of aromatic solvent for making attars as well, and things like miti, which is even they use the earth, and that smell,
It's a
that
base
texture course.
for many medicines. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like, in a way, I think, I don't know, I was getting to something musical in that way that, it's just very absorbing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that line about the moon is what stood out to me in that whole poem, because sandalwood has that softness of fragrance that
Right. Yeah.
it just feels like moonlight. Yeah.
Nice. And the
Yeah.
cooling and calming to the mind. What makes it a sattvic within that
Yeah.
tradition. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting as well, because I'd always seen mainly a lot of its yin qualities, like you just said, cooling and calming to the mind. And the surrender is very yin, like in a Piscean way as well. But I thought what was interesting as well, it's almost like, within the nucleus of yin, you might find yang in the heart, that's little ball within the teardrop going down. And I think in the case of sandalwood, that's its amazing yang power to protect, protect the body from that breakdown of redox imbalance and, more serious chronic conditions. If you use it in some way, regularly, I think it can, and with other aromatics, really, help prevent that, So in that way, protection is a very yang thing, but it's very hidden within a very yin, persona of quietude and just that neutrality. It doesn't impose itself. So it's so beautiful for all kind of natural perfumery, of course.
With that protective quality, though, what popped up in
Yeah.
my mind was using it on pericardium points as well.
Oh,
Pericardium being
yeah.
a heart protector that just feels like a really natural fit, that the sandalwood would have that protection, but also do that nurturing within that heart space. Yeah.
Yeah. I love you started with that, because right away I'll be like, you just naturally gravitate towards that, don't you, at that point? Yeah.
That's a good connection, Gabriel, between the
Yeah.
protectiveness and the heart space.
Yeah. You're only supposed to have minor chakras here. So when you do palm healing, you can visualize these as like chakras, almost.
Right. Well,
And
and
I think the sandalwood really energize them in that way I'm sorry, Joseph. Yeah.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
It's like if you're doing qigong, if you're doing Reiki, emanating through there, okay,
Yeah.
and then flavoring or enhancing that emanation with the sandalwood.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
The every day a ceremony, every day a prayer.
Yeah.
Um, it, One of my teachers had me make up, what's your prayer? You need to do that, then we can figure out how to teach you. Okay. And it was one of those just took me back.
Wow.
And it took some time, but that when I'm working with people, there is a sacredness, a ceremonial quality to it. And it's an everyday ceremony. It doesn't necessarily mean only one day a year ceremony. All right. And the reality or the embodied quality of point and oil, okay, makes it simple and profound and something they can carry home. And that way, Angela, this is our learning circles idea. Okay. It spreads, it grows. It's not virally spreading. I'd like a little bit of that sometimes, but in a good way. Okay. But it's growing and it's engaging people in plant medicine, in energy medicine by basically an acupressure point, an essential oil, transformative, what's next, healing, sustainability, planet, um, human philosophy, art. I mean, don't get me started. But we're going to have to get us all stopped we have all the time we need in about 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Questions? Anybody have questions?
I mean, I have a slide about source points, but we can get there. But where are you? What are you thinking? What do you want to say? I mean, you have been under the influence of sandalwood for about 40 minutes, right? I was kidding with some of my friends one night. We're all out to music as a group of about 8 of us sitting at a table. This was during the pandemic when you could go out and listen to music, okay? And you had social distancing. Some people had masks. Anyway, I'm sitting there with my bunch of oils, okay? I got them on the table and I'm doing 1, 2, and 3. I'm doing like an appetizer. I'm doing a main dish and I'm doing a little bit of a dessert, okay? And everybody's going, and someone comes over from another table and goes, what are you doing? You know, like,
Raise the
and
vibration.
I'm microdosing my friends with essential oils. But, it was very me statement. Okay. But plant medicine and getting it in, okay, um, neuroprotective, it regulates apoptosis, helps the DNA, okay. We need microdoses of the stuff that does that in the body. That's actually body level. you know Gabriel, you've mentioned a couple times sandalwood on a daily application, okay, every day a ceremony, every day a prayer. You make it part of your self-care, okay. You're using products that are supporting sustainability. I mean, don't get me going. Again, you got me going. But and you're healing, and it smells good and it looks good. I don't have anything wrong with that. So
And Caroline, I can see you using some sandalwood in your face yoga sessions. Yeah, I think that would be really beautiful.
Yeah, I like I'm quite familiar with Hawaiian sandalwood. I really like it, and I want to get the other sandalwood now because
Yeah.
I'm less familiar with this one. But you get me very curious about it.
yeah. So when I found out about the Santalum album from Australia, okay, I bought a kilo of it. So
Oh,
if you need to get some,
That's your connection.
and you're in the U.S., we can figure it out. Okay, if you're somewhere else,
California. Yeah.
I'm in San Francisco.
okay. Um, yeah, the uses of, mm. And the Hawaiian sandalwood. Just very briefly, I've studied its lore and its history very um, deeply. Okay, um, it was exploited to extinction by Hawaiians, basically making sandalwood the tax that people had to pay so that they could buy weapons. It's a long story. It's not as simple as that short thing, but I have a feeling when you look at sandalwood throughout its arc, from India and Sri Lanka all the way out almost to South America, there's an arc, and it's an arc of archipelagos even. Okay, so there's different sandalwoods by island speciation, right? Um, Sandalwood, we're using it to regenerate Australia, or Hawaiian sandalwood is an excellent example of this. Okay, the projects of reseeding and sprouting and all that sort of stuff, and letting people visit and kind of take it home. That idea. Um, I have a feeling that the oil is helping us heal the wounds we caused it. Why we're making it regenerating it in a sustainable way, which is helping heal our wounds. Okay, that's beauty that is more than skin deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gabrielle, what classes do you have coming up that relatable in some way to what we're doing here?
well, but yeah, no, thank you. By the way, I just wanted to say though, I love that. I mean, I like that. Thank you, Angela. I'll come to that. But I love that, focus you put on the healing properties, of that, like wound healing. I was thinking about frankincense as well. I think you mentioned frankincense too, didn't you? And also it made me realize, like, in those kind of climates, especially, that oozing out of those oleoresins, well, you mentioned some of the compounds, and it's cool because when the aromatic, I'm acting like my arm is a limb of a tree, but it's a good parallel. But when it's wounded, and then of course the aromatic constituents will evaporate, and that's obviously kind of promotes that congealing and hardening, and I think that relating that to our own healing, and I love the way it started. Maybe who I forget who mentioned, but about the rose geranium and working on self-compassion, because I think, and Angela, I think, yeah, I mean, I think because I've got Virgo midheaven, so that thing of even in the 80s, it was both for men and women in their own ways, and not making it a gender thing, but we try and be perfect, and I think it can really, maybe it can often come through echoes from one of our parents or both or whatever. I've seen that a lot recently because I've been doing a few kind of aroma astrological readings, and but I think it's letting go of that self-critical thing. And I think sandalwood as well, it's interesting, like it was put so nicely about how the geranium works in fragrance energetics terms. And I really admire the way you guys have that focus as well. But even with sandalwood, I feel like it has that compassion, and even look at the energy of how it's brought us together.
Mhm.
And I think that if we can like be tolerant of each other, we can all, that comes hand in hand with giving ourselves a break, when things don't always, because the more we often take on, the bigger the challenges, Well, I guess I have in some respect, because I suddenly transplanted myself from 3 decades of running a school in London live to be out here where I'm launching a program of my courses online, which is my school being the Institute of Traditional Herbal Medicine and Aromatherapy. And well, at the moment, I've got different things coming up, but it's all on my website, aromatherapy-studies.com. And yeah, that's aromatherapy-studies.com. And yeah, but at the moment, what I have been doing, but I've got new dates for it starting in September, is this connection. And I've been doing it with aromatherapy and astrology. And I'm doing it with Shelley Antine, who's like an amazing wise woman astrologer who just coincidentally has the same birthday as me. So we really, yeah, we really get each other. I mean, I didn't choose her for that reason. I advertise, I'm looking to teach astrology with someone, as long as they've got the same birthday as me.
Yeah.
We're both a bit intense, so we get each other, but she's got Moon in Gemini. As long as I keep her up to date with everything that's going on, it's all cool. And I got Moon in Libra and Scorp rising too, so I'm sure that's probably why I got on with Joseph. But anyway, that's all the kind of thing that you can learn, and its connection with aromatherapy with the help of a wise woman who really inspired me to renew that class, because otherwise it's more, my main teaching is more about 5 elements, and I'll have a new course coming up with the connection, especially with essential oils. But my main goal is going to be a 1-year, 250-hour program in something called aromaphytotherapy, which is that whole interconnection between aromatherapy and herbal medicine. It'll be quite advanced and academic. I've got someone I want to do it with, and I'm trying to entice them,
Yeah.
as it were, professionally speaking. But come hell or high weather, I've got different colleagues in mind, but there's one person in particular I'd love to work with because, yeah, well, sensei, I think to have someone who inspires us, and like Peter Holmes has, and now you guys do as well, and this group does. And I just want to say thank you for really, thank you so much for this opportunity. And it's just so beautiful that you happen to be focusing on a tree that's so important to me as well.
The truth of trees. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Wonderful. Anybody have any questions or thoughts or comments they'd like to share with Gabriel today before we close?
So I actually do have something. It's not a question. It's actually more of a request from Gabriel. I actually really like all the poems that you're writing. How about you bring out a print with your poems?
Oh, bring out a what?
Just have them printed in a book.
You know
All your
what?
poems.
Oh, you know what? The funny thing is, I've definitely got that in sights, and I've had on my to-do list for a while under the title "The Elixir of Love." But and now it's like there's always one incentive. I think it reminds one of that. Is it from Dickens that necessity is the mother of invention, in the sense that I need the money? I'm thinking, hey, maybe if I self-publish my poems with nice photos on Amazon, I might make it through to my next diploma course or something. So thank you, Rushandra. I'll take that as a message from the cosmos. That
Yeah.
might save my financial bacon, maybe. I'll have it. But thank you. And it's great to see you here as well.
Just do this. Gabriel, I would love to do some co-teaching with you, okay? So think about that one as a possibility too.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Others, anything, you have all the time you need in the next 2 minutes. Okay. We're going to ask a question, make a comment. I mean, we can open up the mics and just say goodbye. We can do this, the energetic ritual that Angela and I always like to use. Maybe
I put the Sandalwood connection. I put Joseph's email in the chat. So if need Sandalwood, email Joseph.
Yeah, and I'd also, Gabriel, if you got a PDF of the poem, okay.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we could get that posted on some place like acuaromatherapy enthusiast
Oh
group.
yeah, I'd love that. I'll send it to you. Yeah. Yeah, or a JPEG or whatever form you like. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna do this one more time.
That energy. Feel that Sandalwood eminence out there, just swaying you into a beautiful weekend and a beautiful opening up of the summer season with the solstice this month. And many blessings to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community and coming together today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Many blessings, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks,
Thank
Angela.
all of you, Angela, Gabriel, this day.
Great.